don't quit. Just don't quit. I was not extremely talented. I'm not the highest. I was never the highest kicker. I've had my share of tournaments and I won, but I won just from being scrappy and not going down. Anybody at any age can start in martial arts and go to black belt if you just don't quit. And if you have an extremely challenging day, you rest and you pick yourself up and you go back for more. And that's the beauty of martial arts, is it doesn't discriminate against anybody for any reason at all. As long as you're willing to put in the time, you'll be rewarded in the end.
Welcome back to FURYCAST. Also, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and of course, smash the bell for notifications. Please welcome on the show, Eden Herdman.
Hey. Hey, Derrick, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing better and better. Thank you.
Awesome. So take me back to a young Ren. They call you Ren.
Yeah, a lot of people call me Ren, short for Karen. That's true.
Take me back to a young Ren. How did you get involved in the martial arts?
I get asked that a lot, actually, and I feel like it's a little bit of a deflated answer. It's something I've always wanted to do since I was very, very young. I grew up in a position where my family really couldn't afford to pay for karate lessons or anything like that. So as soon as I was a employable young girl, I just walked in a ITF school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, and just signed up for lessons and never looked back. And that's been 34 years now.
Now, you said the Pittsburgh area?
Yep, under CS Kim Karate. And that was at Mr. Joe Bruno's school in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, who I just recently went back to visit a couple of weeks ago. So that was nice to see him again.
Where are you living now?
I actually live in the South. I live in South Carolina after being in Denver for a long, long, long time. And I'm actually a Southern girl and born and raised in the South. So it's good to be back to stuff that feels a little more relaxed than what my lifestyle has always been afforded for many, many decades.
That's interesting, because I always viewed Denver as this laid back.
Well, it used to be.
Yeah.
It's not really so much now. There's a lot of transplanted people with a lot of different views and a lot of different truths. And it's really changed the structure of, well, not so much. Colorado is very vast with a lot of good, salt of the earth people, but the metropolitan area, as in Denver, has changed quite a bit, honestly, and quickly.
That's what's happening here in Texas now, especially like Houston, Dallas. My wife's always complaining about people coming in from California, and I came here from California, so, but yeah. So that's definitely happening here. And that is a concern.
A lot of transplants.
Yeah, especially Houston. Houston's a weird place that kind of has its own culture, even apart from Texas. So to see it change is interesting. But for the people out there that may not be familiar with you, can you take 2 minutes to tell them who you are and what you do?
Okay, I might need more than 2 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you take as long as you want.
So I do three things very good, Derrick. I've discovered this.
Is one being a Steelers fan?
Well, actually, thanks for noticing. Yeah, you can't live in Pittsburgh for 13 years and not be a Steelers fan. So yeah, actually, that is true.
My brother's a Steelers fan. I don't think he's ever been to Pittsburgh, but
yeah, if that happens a lot. I run into that all the time.
Yeah. Well, you and I both remember when the Steelers were like, was it late 70s, early 80s? They were like,
oh yeah,
they were huge. Was it Lynn Swann was on there and all? You know what I mean? You couldn't. It was Steelers and Cowboys. That was, I remember the big thing when I was a young boy.
Yep.
So I think my theory is he was victim of that Steeler fever in the late 70s.
That's it. And people have been fans ever since the We Are Family thing from the late 70s. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep, that is true.
So the three things.
Right, three things. Well, that's not one of them I really picked, but you know what? I'm going to add that one.
Okay, you should. You should.
Yeah. So by trade, I've made my living for over 25 years in the media business as a newscaster. I'm actually a broadcast meteorologist. So I can do both. I can be a weather anchor and I can be a feature reporter. And I've done both of those for many, many years. And I also am a journalist by trade, a book author. I do have 5 books out right now. And one of them was, they're all very martial arts, philosophical stuff. One of them was, I am a martial artist that became a really huge seller through Century Martial Arts. And there were T-shirts, mugs, unit posters. And I still get a lot of people that hit me up about that. That was just a really big promotion, mainly because it was the first to tug at people's heartstrings. I think I'm really good at that in my writing. I'm a very different writer. Most martial artists who write, they come from the place of kind of like kick butt mentality, how to win and all that stuff. And I was the first one to come in and write about losing when you feel like a piece of crap, stuff like that. And it really took off.
Yeah.
So as a result, I ended up with 2 book deals with Century Martial Arts and 2 product lines with them. And also I have a book. Well, hang on, let me think. My latest book is Women of the Sport Karate Museum, out of Houston, Texas, actually.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's where the Sport Karate Museum is, under Gary Lee. And he's very renowned with having probably some of the first in martial arts in the country to be in his history museum. So
I'm gonna have to get him on the
not this
show.
past October.
I was not familiar with that. I'll have to get him
Yeah,
on.
no, it's yeah, it happens every year. The Sport Karate Museum does put on an event, and I have a good time there. But these are people that were the first to ever do it. So, it's interesting. The year I was there, Mike Stone was there, and I was being honored there. Even though now that I say that, it makes me feel a little old. But every 4 years, he'll honor a female martial artist, and he chose me, which I appreciate. And I to kind of like rope in all my other sisters in the martial arts, I came out with a book called Women of the Sport Karate Museum, which is still available on Amazon today if you want to buy one. But it's heavy on the pictures of some of the first women in the country to ever train in martial arts, some of the absolute first to walk in and do it.
That's
So
fascinating.
yeah, that's my latest book. I also have one self-help book. Gosh, I can't remember. A major publishing was The Complete Idiot's Guide to Taekwondo. That one was through Simon & Schuster and Macmillan, and that really set me, and that's been quite a while now, but that book is still out there. That was all part of that idiot guide. If you read, you're familiar with that stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's one side of me, a journalist and multimedia broadcaster. So besides that, I write, I speak, and of course I teach martial arts. I still teach martial arts today, and I do it more for a
I think your mic got muted.
Pittsburgh, but I don't do it commercially now. I just do it as part of a community service. And I'm right now teaching through PAL, which is the Police Athletic League, and doing very well in the ghetto,
In the
honestly,
hood.
which is teaching. So that's the other thing that I do. And I'm also what you would call a clinical pastor, which is like a chaplain. I do a lot of counseling. So that's the 3 M's that I call myself that I do right now.
One of
So
them,
did that take 2 minutes, or I don't know? Sorry if it's over.
we'll call it 2 minutes. It's fine.
Okay.
One of those M's is ministry, it seems, huh?
Yes.
Awesome. How'd you get involved in that?
I was in television for about 25 years, and I got out, went back to seminary, and became an ordained chaplain.
What seminary did you go to?
Colorado Theological.
Okay.
And what most people don't know about me is I'm actually still active military today.
Oh, wow.
I still drill and still get deployed when necessary. But that is something that I still contribute to today. And as someone who is an ordained chaplain, a lot of times that service will go into that arena in very unique ways, I might add. But that's a side of me that, a lot of people do know, but a lot of people don't know. Most people know me for my martial arts, I would say.
That's awesome. On this show, we focus on a few things, and I think you kind of touch on all of them. Of course, martial arts, kind of the intersection of martial arts and film, television. And every now and then, I'm a person of faith. Every now and then, when I get another person of faith, I like to pick their brain a little bit. So
Yeah.
did you grow up as a Christian, or did you, have an experience that led you to Christianity, or?
Yes, so that's interesting, and I appreciate you asking that because nobody ever asked me that. And I'd like to let people know my mother actually grew up Buddhist, and my dad was, for lack of a better way to put it, was a New Ager, maybe an antagonist more than anything. I mean, I'm sorry, an agnostic, antagonist
A little
more than
both.
anything. Um, so, at one point, there was a breakdown in my family, and I was very, very young when that happened. And a lot of things happened where I can sit here and tell you I probably should not be here today. It got very, very bad. And I say by the grace of God, I'm not dead. I am here today. But in spite of everything that I went through and a lot of the diversity that, I could have been a part of from both sides of the family, I personally made the decision and felt in my heart that the real belief for me, and I wish for everybody, but it is what it is the power of Jesus Christ, because I do feel I'm alive because of that.
Yeah. Oh, I totally relate. Same here. And it's my wife says I don't open up a lot or give my testimony, and I'm just now starting to open up a lot more. But it can be difficult. You go through those hard things, and some of them are so personal. Have you thought about writing a book about that journey?
Yeah, autobiography I would love to do. I just feel like my story's not over enough yet for me to do that. In my mind, I feel like when you do write your life story, you need to be at a point in your life where you're kind of like, well, I kind of made it to the other side now. And there's so much going on that I really don't feel like I'm at that point. But when I do my talks and I do a lot of speaking engagements, I most often will talk about my story and my testimony, and how it's molded me in the direction that I'm into today. And incidentally, because you did talk about movies before, I forget, I do have 2 IMDb movie credits.
Oh, I'm gonna
Um,
get to that. Oh, trust me, I
oh,
know.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, probably every year I'll get 2 or 3 offers, and I say this with all graciousness, I don't feel like that's who I am, not at this point. There was
You
a
two or
time in
three
this
offers
kind of
for
time,
book to do a
yeah, to do like
autobiography
movie kind of stuff.
of movie stuff.
There was a time in my life where, uh, when I was a young woman, where it was all about me. How fast can I climb? How long will it take to get to the top? That kind of thing. And the mind's very powerful. I did very well. And being in movies, if that came my way, great. That's going to make me feel more special, or whatever you want to call it. Um, I really don't, that's not my thing now. I really do focus on trying to make a difference in the world
Mhm.
with what I do. And in as much as I appreciate things, I'm not who I used to be. And I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's nice. I appreciate it.
shameless plug, I'm a filmmaker, and that's my movie Lion Killer. It's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu film. I would be interested. I'll send you a link. I'd be interested in your thoughts if you have time to watch it, because it comes from a place of someone who's familiar with the losses,
Hmm.
and it's about a struggling jiu-jitsu instructor who falls in love with or meets and is falling in love with a girl with a history of domestic abuse, and ultimately it's about two hurt and broken people trying to get over their own issues so they can fall in
Right.
love. So I'd
Well,
be interested in hearing your
well, that's
thoughts on a film
interesting.
like
And
that.
if something came along like that I think that I was going to help people, I would be interested in something like that.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in it for me, and I mean that with all my heart. I'm
yeah,
interested in trying to make a difference with what I do.
yeah,
Sounds like you're on that same journey too, Derrick. So I
yeah,
really appreciate that, and I'll absolutely look at that too.
yeah,
It sounds like something that's going to help people, and that's what I'm all about.
yeah. Unfortunately, the Bang Pow karate movies make a little more money, but but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna do what God's called me to do.
there you go. That's the big fantasy, the release that people want. It's always the same plot,
Yeah,
you killed my brother, so I'm going to come after
yeah.
you.
And I,
Or
I
you
love
killed
a good
somebody.
Scott Adkins movie, a good John Wick movie. I love it. I just for me, when I
Yeah.
sit down and write, it's more, but like I really found my voice with the niche of um story driven martial arts movies. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
there's a story here where that relates and can help people, like you said, from who are struggling with past issues and haven't come full circle yet. that maybe could
Right.
get them from A to B. So then, God could take them to
Yeah.
C and so
But
on and
and
so
that's
forth.
interesting. Your plot is interesting, and I know that must come from a very interesting place with you because two broken people in a relationship, there's so much there, and I got my hand raised. I mean, I
Yeah.
know. And it's hard, and you're looking at least half the country is in that position, if not more. And it really makes you wonder, the attacks that come upon you just because of the things you endured in the past is very, very real. And a lot of people will give up because of that. So I would absolutely love to take a look at that.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll send you a link. Now, back on your journey. So what was it like stepping into that martial arts school? Was it a Taekwondo school?
It's a Tang Soo Do.
Tang Soo Do, yes.
Hmm.
So the Tang Soo Do school, for the first time, what was that like? Do you remember?
I do remember. I remember the uniform was like a pair of brand new jeans. It was so stiff. Every time you move, it was like shh, shh, shh. um, and I remember the private lessons, and I remember how hard I first thought it was. It took, I mean, you would sweat more from just trying to focus and concentrate than you did for any other reason. I do remember that. And I think the beautiful thing about, martial arts is when you end up teaching it, because you were also a white belt, you never really forget those experiences, and it kind of gives you a better understanding of what these people that just walk in are going through and how you can encourage them. But absolutely, I wasn't Bruce Lee. I didn't have extraordinary fighting skills. I was not an athlete. I was just someone who absolutely loved it. And I do have a family history when you go back, on my mom's side, she's multi-ethnic as well, but she grew up in Japan, and she is Seiwai Genji, which means she comes from the royal family, and they have shogunate there. So I do come from samurai warriorship on two different sides of that family. But however, I'm the only one in the family that really had this incredible interest from an early age to learn martial arts. Nobody else does. They think I'm crazy,
Where
especially
do you
being a
think that
girl.
came from? Where do you think that came
It
from?
has to be. I do believe in things that you carry in your blood. I'm a big believer in that. There's a spiritual thing about your blood being a tape recorder, and science has already proven that, actually. But I do believe that I must have got something in my blood that said you're a warrior and you need to train, and this is going to be a part of your life. It must be something in my blood.
I believe that too. Yeah. So, and it's kind of funny. As soon as you said how stiff the dobok was, or the gi, I remember getting like from Century, like just a generic gi from Century in like the early 80s. And it was stiff. It was stiff as a board. You like had the creases down the middle, and the
Oh
creases
yeah,
stayed for like a
yeah,
week. You know,
yep.
it's funny the
That's
things
it.
as soon as you said that, it took me back. So
Yeah,
how long did you stay with Tang Soo Do?
that's all I know. That's what I've been doing for 34 years.
Awesome. Now I'm a black belt in well, I have MMA school here in the Houston area, where we teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
Uh-huh.
STX kickboxing, and of course I've done some Filipino martial arts, JKD, all that good stuff. But my first black belt was ITF style Taekwondo. Now,
Right,
old school, old school Taekwondo.
right.
Um, I tell people that, when we would have private sparring matches, there was bloody noses, cracked ribs. It was guys
Yeah,
going at it. You know what I mean? What was
yeah.
your experience back then? Was it similar to that? Because Taekwondo being a
Um,
cousin of Tang Soo Do, really.
yeah. And interestingly enough, I actually, I've written for magazines for, gosh, forever, third or fourth decade now, I think. But I did interview Hoist Gracie. That guy never gives anybody an interview. So I was really
Yeah.
honored. I was really honored to be able to introduce him. What a super nice guy he was, out in California.
Oh, you're muted again. That keeps going on and off. I
Question?
wonder why that is. That's weird.
What was your question?
I forgot now. um,
Oh, you were asking me about Tang Soo Do,
mhm.
and
Your experience, was it that hard kind of style that?
oh no, it's all hard. Tang Soo Do is hand-to-hand combat based out of the military,
Mhm.
and most women don't really want to do it, to be honest. I'm probably one of the higher ranked females ever in history in Tang Soo Do with seven black belts. I mean, legitimately, there are some that are been doing it longer than me, maybe two or three, but to legitimately come up the ranks and test for every single belt and that kind of thing, yeah, I'm a rarity being a female that wants to do that. I know that, and that's either really good or really weird to me. I don't know which it is, but I mean, I love it. I just, all the discipline, the respect that goes with it, it just does well with my personality.
And you said you're a seventh degree?
Yes, a grandmaster. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty high up. And as traditional as Tang Soo Do is, it takes quite a while to get there. So that's quite an accomplishment.
Yes.
You closing in on that eighth degree? What's going on?
Well, let's see. I think it was 2020, which was around 30 years that I qualified to test for seventh degree, the rank of grandmaster. So after that, at that point at 2020, I have to wait 8 years because whatever you're going to, you add a year, and that's how long you have to wait.
Yeah, that's how
So
the
eight
Taekwondo
years,
style I did was, yeah.
right? That's traditional. So 8 years would put me at 2028 when I can actually hopefully have permission to test for eighth degree at that time. And I'm at this point, you don't even think about it really. You just you just kind of bide your time and see what happens. But that if I stayed on track, that would be the next year.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
so you said so all you know is Tang Soo Do, but did you ever cross train with anybody or?
Yeah. I blew my knee out for a time. I took Chun Mudo. I still do Pilates every day. I love Pilates. Not so much the yoga, but the Pilates. That fits me a little bit better. I still do. I mean, I'm always with other martial artists. At this point, when they ask me to come be a speaker or be a judge, it runs the gamut, all arts. They're different and have variants, but they're all kind of the same when it comes to traditional martial arts. And even what you do, MMA style, I've set many of those. I've done stories on MMA programs. It's all good to me. I really love it all. But for me, my root system is in Tang Soo Do, and that's what I still teach.
That's awesome. Now you say you did Chung Mudo. That's Chuck Norris's system, correct?
Is it? I wasn't aware that he did that.
I thought that
Chuck
was that.
Norris.
I thought so.
I don't know. Chuck Norris is also a Tang Soo Do practitioner.
Mhm.
We all know him very well in traditional Tang Soo Do as far as that goes. His instructor when he was in Korea in the military is actually part of the same crew that my instructor out of Pittsburgh came out of that whole arena. So he's very well known in Tang Soo Do because of that.
Yeah, legend, and in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. He brought the
Yeah.
Machados over. But so you're in the Pittsburgh area. I do have from a cinematic standpoint as a filmmaker, I have a fascination with any movie that's shot in Pittsburgh. I always watch it
Oh wow.
have you seen Warrior, the way they shot Pittsburgh in that movie, the movie Warrior, so MMA movie?
I have not, but I did do stunt work in Sudden Death, which was filmed in Pittsburgh with Van Damme.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah. So I remember doing that. It was right there at what they called the Civic Arena at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. I enjoyed doing that.
Well,
Well, I'll put it this way. I'll never do it again. But stunt work is hard. It's a lot of work and no glory. But it was interesting to do it, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to do it. I don't think I would ever do it again. But though, there's a scene in the movie where they blow up the Civic Arena, and one of the stunts that I had to do was when they dumped like 3,000 gallons of water down the ramp, I had to run. And I'm like, well, don't worry, I'm going to run. But my gosh, it's like I ran for my life. But it's like, this is aches and pains. And you get, very little glory for it to make other people who are the celebrities look good. That's not my gig. There was a good experience, but that's nothing I would ever want to do again, is stunt work.
Now you stunt double because the plot for that movie is the terrorists take over a hockey arena,
Right.
correct?
Right.
It's Die Hard in a hockey arena. Now
Exactly.
one of the terrorists was female. Were you stunt doubling the female terrorist?
No, I couldn't do the stunt doubles there, when you do stunt work on that level with that kind of movie, you have to be like the union member and have the insurance and all that kind of stuff. And I never wanted to do it that bad. They had me come in and do the stunt work. I was just a police officer. And it was funny because while we're out waiting to do the scene, when you do these movies, you wait forever. It's a lot of waiting.
Just hurry up
I'm
and
out
wait.
waiting. Yeah. I'm waiting in uniform, and it's actual Pittsburgh police officer uniform, which is very unique. Their uniforms are different. I'm outside the Civic Arena waiting to go in, and I got stopped like 3 times with people on the street needing my help because they thought I was a real cop.
There's a movie in that. There's a movie in that. That's the setup for a movie. I'm telling you.
Yeah, so that was funny, and it was like, well, should I just do my best to help them or just tell them I'm not really a cop? I didn't explain it. I didn't know what to do. I'm like,
I'm just
I think
making a
there's
movie.
another cop over there. What's that?
I'm just making a movie. Sorry you got shot.
I felt bad because they're pouring their hearts out at me, and I'm like, what point do I say, look, I'm just doing stunt work in a movie? I'm like, I'm sure there's another officer on the other side of the street over there. Maybe you can go over there and find somebody to help you. I didn't know what to say, but I remember that was funny.
Now, what took you away from Pittsburgh?
I had a contract. I worked with Fox News. I was doing Fox News in Pittsburgh, and I got transferred over to Fox News in Denver, Colorado. And then I had a contract with them, and I think it was 5 years. And then I actually got married and got pregnant right away. And it was too much. I really I was an older mom, and I'm like, I'm done. I just don't want to do this. I'll do other things. So I stayed home, and I raised my kid, who, my little baby now, 6'3", 300 pounds, and plays college football. And also a second degree black belt, very athletic boy, very big boy. But I'm glad I did. But I'm very fortunate that I don't have any regrets. I've done both. While I was, staying at home and being the mother, I also wrote, 5 books. I write for Karate Magazine. So I had time to still do a lot of things I wanted to do, but still be the mom I felt like I needed to be.
So you left Pittsburgh. Where'd you move to?
I had from Pittsburgh, from Fox News in Pittsburgh. I went to Fox News in Denver.
Denver. Okay. And that's why you're in Denver for quite a while.
That's why I was in Denver. Right. And then I got married and got pregnant, and then got out of that business and went back to seminary, and just did a whole about face and change in my life. Just totally turned everything around at that point.
Now, what was your seminary experience like?
Gosh, I should have done it as soon as I got out of high school. I was, what's it called? Summa cum laude, straight A's, graduated straight A's with that. It's, in biblical counseling. Did you ever have to use
your Tang Soo Do in a seminary situation?
No, but I actually have to a lot of times, when I do street ministries, which is what I do. I do a lot of, inner city work. I work with gang members. Or former gang members. I work with street people. Yeah, homelessness, and a lot of Christian organizations don't, for lack of a better way of put it, don't feel called to do that kind of work. No, I actually, I do well with it. I just feel it's an honor to be able to do the Lord's work, and being put in those areas is something that I actually thrive in. That I've had my life threatened more than once. I've had my tires slashed. I've had a law enforcement intel come in and say they're going to shoot the place up. I mean, I've been through it all, and I'm surprised to see what I'm made of. When those things happened, I didn't run and hide. I actually ran toward it, and I'm like, got it in the gear. Say, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to take care of it. So I didn't know I was made like that, but I am, and it serves me well in the military too. I mean, I thrived with being in the military today. It's just, I think you're either called to be a warrior or you're not. And I'm glad that I was able to prove that, no, I'm not saying this. I really do warrior up when I have to.
It's kind of exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking that the mental side, the mental toughness you gain from, your years of martial arts training, as well as your military service, for street ministry, that's going to be worth its weight in gold. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be mentally challenging. You will get threats, but I mean, very rarely will somebody actually do anything aggressive. There'll be a lot of posturing and whatnot.
We did have unfortunately, some young people, teenagers, get shot literally right outside the building.
Really?
I and I got a lot of feedback even from the council. Was like, look, we appreciate it, but you're still a mom. My kid was younger then. You're still a mother, and I'm like, it got to the point with the noise in my ear. I was like, all right, listen, I hear the voice of God. I take my orders from God. I don't need you to tell me to get out. You need to stop, because you just, you're increasing the spirit of fear. I know God will tell me when the right time to get out of this. And he did. He did tell me the right time, and I did get out, and I got out in time. I mean, the place is, it's nothing like that now. The work that I did in the inner city of Denver and in the ghettos. God knows what he's doing. I don't know why he would have me, a woman, go into those areas and heed that call, but he did. He's just kind of like, look, I need for you to show up and do this. And what I discovered, Derrick, is that the safest place to be is in the will of God, period. You have to believe that. If you say you're a person of faith, you have to believe that the safest place to be is in the will of God. Yeah. And you either trust that or you don't.
Yeah. Well, trust me, I know.
Yeah.
And God is good. And I have worked in ministry on and off for years, and it does always amaze me how a lot of times people in leadership aren't really going off of what scripture says.
Well, and there's this fear.
It's fear-based.
Especially around the holidays, I had a lot of mega churches come up and go, well, we want to help the people in the ghetto, the less fortunate, whatever you want to call it. I'm like, well, that's awesome. I need for you to bring your people into this community center and help me with these kids, because I've got about 200 of them and they're killing each other. And that's all I had to, I meant it, but that didn't work. I mean, they were out the door so fast. I mean, there were times I was alone, just me and God, because people say they want to help, but when it comes down to it, when you think that your life's going to be in danger, you really do have to go by, is God called me to do this or not? And when God's called you, I will tell you, you have no fear. There will be no fear chip whatsoever.
I believe that.
So if you're wondering how people in the military and law enforcement do what they do, it's because God wired them to be a certain way. They don't have that fear.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, they might think, oh, Denver's this, Denver has a gang problem, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. And they have, I mean, since, they became a big city. Most big cities do. That's nothing out of the ordinary. They have gone through periods, though, where they were just killing each other like crazy. These young people just shooting each other in the streets, just gangbanging stuff. It's been a famous problem. They've even made movies about the gangs in Denver. And, I'll just never forget everything in the experience.
You muted again.
Popular today. I apologize. I keep getting phone. I think it was just a big learning curve for me of what people say and what people really do. It was a big learning curve for me of who really is going to do and what they say they are and who isn't. It really will challenge a man in the time of tough times.
Yeah.
Your integrity will really either show up or run. It's amazing.
No, but you're doing good work, and as somebody who's from those areas, I'm from the bottom of the bottom. I'm from underneath the projects. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate you, doing that. Because there was, even if I look back along my life's journey, there was those people. God would send. They did work the hood. There were ministries that did work the hood. That would pick the kids up and take them to the movies. Pick the kids up and organize basketball or do something, all under the guise that, okay, now you're going to sit down and we're going to do a quick Bible study, but they were still planting seeds. So, I do appreciate, you doing that, and that God is still sending workers into the field like that. Now you do some free martial arts classes in the hood. For some reason, I thought it was on the res. Is it just in the hood, or is it on the reservation?
Oh, no, I do a lot of Native American work. I do. I actually have a non-federal, I'd have to say this, a non-federal tribe, because there is a difference between a federally operated reservation and people who are just members of tribes because they want to honor their ancestors. So I actually am involved with a Cherokee tribe that we do a lot of work. We do a lot of community service. And that is different from what I do in the inner cities, what I do through the Police Athletic League right now. These are some great kids. And this group gets me because they are just, they're poor. I mean, just, I don't think I've ever seen such poorness outside of me and the way I grew up. I grew up very, very poor. I mean, like, I didn't have enough food poor. But I know a lot of these kids are going through that. So I take that as an opportunity to minister to them and let them know how things can change if they get in line, body, mind, and spirit. Make sure you don't forget that spiritual walk and that kind of thing. I know I'm in the right place because I've had to live that life like you. And I do that work. But in addition, being very heavy on the Cherokee side myself, I do a lot of Native American work.
Okay, that's awesome. How did you come about doing that? How did that happen?
Native America has such needs that fly under the radar. I was just shocked. I was because of having Native American DNA, and it's not even my biggest DNA. Woodland Indians on this side of the Mississippi and Cherokee, it'd be very hard to find a full-blooded Cherokee today, just because they've been colonizing since the 1600s. Not that people don't have higher blood quantums. Mine's pretty high considering where we are today. And I know I look it, but I am multi-ethnic, and I do make a point to tell people that it's just not the Native American. I have everything. I have a lot of stuff as far as DNA. I broke the DNA machine. I know I did. But I was put in charge of some of American Indian committees with some organizations that I was part of, and went and visited a lot of these areas. And it just really pulled at my heart that Native America has a lot of issues that aren't being met. And these people are very quiet, and they're very depressed in the way that they handle problems with the drinking and the drugs and the things of that nature. I'm not licking everybody with the same brush, but I'm saying it is a percentage problem. So I really got roped in like, well, how can I help? And they have a problem with missing and murdered Indigenous women. If you don't know, let me just be very frank and say Native American women in this country and in Canada are falling off the planet, and they don't know what's happening to them. It sounds like a sci-fi movie, but unfortunately, Google it. It's the truth. They don't know where these women are going, ages 12 to mid-30s. More than likely, it's a sex traffic issue. But if they do come home, they're dead. They find them dead. I go out into tribal lands and I help teach self-defense to these women and these young girls. My tribe also does a blanket mission, which goes along with Cherokee history and how much a blanket meant to them when they were on the Trail of Tears. And we go into the central Appalachian regions where there's a lot of Appalachian poor, work with the police departments. Our goal is to get them blankets and get these blankets out to these kids when there's a flood or fire or they're getting displaced from their home as a sense of comfort. So we're trying to do a lot of good things in my tribe, which is basically a 501c3 tribe, Central Appalachian Cherokee tribe. But I got a lot of good people behind me and a good backbone. So we look forward to doing good things.
What don't you do?
I'm not good at math, and I don't like coleslaw.
What? Sounds like my wife. I can't get enough coleslaw. Well, there's specific. I don't like that real vinegary kind of coleslaw.
You like the mayo kind.
I like the sweet. Well, it's like if you go to KFC, man, they got some good coleslaw. KFC, they got the coleslaw game on lock. But not like a nice burger with coleslaw, man.
I'm kind of a picky eater.
The only thing I don't eat is okra.
Oh, you don't like the slime? Okay.
Everybody says that. No, it's the flavor. It's
really?
Something about the flavor is just off on okra.
I hear you. That's funny.
I'm Creole, from Louisiana, French, and
okay.
Everyone believes that you put okra in gumbo all the time, and I tell people if I'm invited, the thing with like Creole people, the first cold day of the year, everybody makes a gumbo. So people say, "Oh, come and eat some gumbo." So you go to the house, maybe 30% of the time there's okra in it. People don't put okra in.
Okra is one of those acquired taste things. You either like it and you learn to like it, or you don't. Most vegetables I'm okay with. I just don't like raw cabbage very much. I think that's the problem.
Raw, okay, pass it my way. I'll eat it. So what's next for you? What's next on your journey?
I'm very busy with the tribe, doing tribal work through our 501c3. You can look it up at cacherokeetribe.myspace. Gosh, hang on a minute, Derrick. cacherokeetribe.squarespace.com. There you go.
Okay, that's a
Just
Squarespace
hit me up.
person.
I'll give it to you.
Okay,
Um, and you can see a lot about how we're organized and what we do. Again, I'm active military during hurricane season. It was crazy, just crazy with, people getting deployed and it was funny. I was asked to help out with the hurricane relief when I probably needed more relief than anybody here in South Carolina. It was brutal. But that's okay. I don't mind helping
absolutely.
in any way that I can. It actually is better that way. I still teach martial arts through the Police Athletic League. I still write books. I do want to say this. I was a writer for Taekwondo Times for over 20 years, and they went through a managerial change, and I don't know what happened. Kind of got displaced there, but their new editor, Jack Barry, did hit me up, and we worked out a contract agreement. So as of this month, I'm back in the mag. I'm back
Awesome.
in, and my column was called Woman of the Times. We've given me a promotion. Now I am Master of the Times, and that's my column. And my column is entitled this month is I Don't Always Know What I'm Doing, but I Do It Anyway. So that's the way I write. So if you're interested in that, please do check that out on Taekwondo Times.
So, or is Taekwondo Times just online now? Or are they still doing hard copies?
They're like most magazines, they're predominantly electronic. However, they do hard copy upon request. And
Mhm.
Jack Barry, if you want to hit him up, will tell you how to do that because I honestly don't know. But um,
Yeah, I used to
you
get it
know,
back in the day. I'm sure I've read some of your articles. Yeah,
I'm sure you did. I was there forever,
mhm.
Yeah. Karen Eden, Woman of the Times. Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Now I've almost forgot to talk about how you got into the movies and the movies you were in.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Um, I had a feature role in a movie called Sworn to Justice starring Cynthia Rothrock back in like 97-ish,
Which one was that?
96,
She's got a habit of
96,
having
97.
having the word justice in her movie, so I get confused. She's got like five movies with
Yeah,
justice in them.
you're right. This was called Sworn to Justice. It was filmed in the Hollywood region.
Was Richard Norton in
It's
that
got
one? Or
all I can tell you is besides Cynthia, Mr. Chekhov from Star Trek was in it
okay.
because his trailer was next to mine. I'm like, cool, Chekhov. Walter Koenig.
Hmm.
Was a super nice dude. I think he's passed now. I don't remember. There's a lot of people that you would recognize in that movie, but it typically is a B karate movie, which Cynthia was the queen of karate movies, the
Oh, I
first to
love
ever
them.
do it.
I couldn't get
Super
enough.
nice person. We both are Tang Soo Do practitioners, and we both had the same instructor in Tang Soo Do, so that was cool. Um,
How did that part come about? How did that happen?
um, the editor of karate magazines at the time, of all karate magazines of all historical times, his name was John Corcoran. If there was a karate magazine, he had his hand in it. He was the first to bring about karate magazines in that sense to put them together, and he helped make a lot of people's careers very, very lucrative, including Van Damme and Cynthia. Um, he's since passed, but I was very fortunate because he actually established me as a martial arts writer. He picked me up in the mid 90s and goes, "You've got a talent as a writer." I didn't know that I did. And he gave me a column, and that really took off. And out of that came 5 books. I mean, I really owe the guy a lot. I was one of 5 writers that he liked, that he picked up. And I'm truly honored. I was the only female. But he was in, because he was an editor of all these karate magazines, he knew everything. And he knew that they were filming this movie in Hollywood, and thought that I would fit the character very well because the feature role was of a TV reporter, which I really was. So and it's a martial arts movie, which I really was, a black belt. So it was like a perfect fit. And he goes, "Hey, you need to come out to Hollywood and try for this." So that's how that happened. That one.
Did you get a fight scene with Cynthia in there? Or?
I do not. I play a news reporter. I'm on
Okay.
TV in the movie.
They didn't use
um,
your martial art. Oh man, come on.
well, Cynthia
I
took
would
care
have
of that
rewrote
pretty
something.
good.
Someone would have attacked you while you were doing the news.
Yeah,
You had to
no, that
defend it.
she took care of all that. Um, um, the stunt work with the Van Damme was really just a casting call that I got. I don't know how I got it. I got called from the casting company and said, would I be willing to be in it? And I'm like, yeah, sure. That really was it for that. And then I have another IMDb credit called Bodyguard Wars, which is still in the works. So that hasn't even been filmed yet. But that's pretty much my little movie career.
So they haven't gone on
You know,
production on Bodyguard Wars. They haven't shot that yet.
no, they haven't shot it yet. So it's kind of like wait, and then wait some more.
I want to see your martial arts scene. That's what I want. I want to see you kick some
Yeah.
butt.
I got a lot of stills with that. And if you go to my Facebook page, I do find them and post them when they pop up, or Instagram has a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah.
But vids,
You should
there's
make
not a whole
some.
lot.
Start TikToking.
I have vids of me teaching karate and demonstrating and doing tests and stuff, but
Keep them. You
action
never know when you're going to do
shots.
a documentary about your life. Keep all that
Well,
stuff. Make sure
you
you
know,
archive all that stuff.
I got to keep that in mind.
No, really, really, and find stuff. If you know people that have stuff, just start archiving the stuff, because I believe you led an interesting life and done a lot for women in the martial arts and in ministry. So, start doing that. On
I'm
that,
going to. I appreciate you telling
yeah,
me that.
yeah.
I
On
really
that,
like that.
yeah, it's true. But
Thank you.
on that note, everything you've done, what would your advice be to young martial artists?
It depends on what they want to do with their martial arts career.
Mm-hmm.
I've ran the gamut. I've had my own school. I've taught, for community. I've written books, magazines, public speaking, product lines. I've done everything I think that you can do with a martial arts career. But if you want to pursue, you tell me. I mean, in what aspect of
Just
martial
so
arts
they
writing? Huh?
No, just so they could. Actually, that is a
Well,
good side question. Just to say they want to be a black belt. They're starting off white belt. I want to make it to black belt. What would your advice
well,
be?
I'll give you that advice. And it's
Mhm.
2 words. Don't quit. Just don't quit. I was not extremely talented. I'm not the highest. I was never the highest kicker. I've had my share of tournaments and I won, but I won just from being scrappy and not going down, like, because I'm wired like that. But anybody at any age can start in martial arts and go to black belt if you just don't quit. And if you have an extremely challenging day, you rest and you pick yourself up and you go back for more. And that's the beauty of martial arts, is it doesn't discriminate against anybody for any reason at all. As long as you're willing to put in the time, you'll be rewarded in the end. And that's the best advice I can give someone who starts out in martial arts.
I never asked this question. What would your advice be to someone starting out in ministry?
2 words: don't quit. Because trust me, there will be times you're going to want to quit, and that doesn't come from the street people or the gang members. I hate to say this, but it comes from other Christian people who who really you're probably going to rub wrong, because you're not a typical I'm not the typical church girl. I never fit in with that very well. I love my brothers and sisters in Christ. Don't get me wrong, because we're on the same journey. But I've probably had more issues and flack from other believers than I have from people who don't even know the Lord. And I say that with all love in my heart, but because I'm telling you the truth. Your hardest part of your journey will be other people who say they believe, but they don't get your vibe. That's tough. It can be very brutal.
Yeah. No. It could be in a movie, your movie experience, your teaching experience. Do you have any interesting and or funny story you could tell? Something unusual that happened to you?
Unusual, funny in martial arts. I know that when I go back and I see my original instructors who took me in as a white belt, and I just, like I said, just maybe 2-3 weeks ago, saw Mr. Bruno, who trained me 34 years ago. And I put our pictures on Facebook, by the way, if you want to see any of that. But it's funny because he knows me as a white belt and he knows how bad I was. And he never really lets me forget that. So it keeps me humble, because I tell my students this. I'm like, you guys, you're getting ready to test for black belt or whatever. You better be humble, because I remember you as a white belt and I know how bad you were. So, that's just I never forget that. The humility that comes with Tang Soo Do is a beautiful journey that I also carry on to my students.
Mhm. Have you ever thought about writing a movie, a movie script?
People have asked me that. I do have stories that play out in my head. I'm not a screenwriter like yourself. I'd have to have a little bit of training in that, but I do have a lot of ideas, and usually I'll take those ideas and turn them into karate columns
Mhm.
before I'll do anything. A lot of my ideas come from experiences that were either mine or other people that
Mhm.
have been that's unbelievable. I had a student in Pittsburgh who literally was testing for black belt, and he made it. Matter of fact, I think he made it all the way to master, but he was an aborted baby that lived. His mother was a 14-year-old teenage prostitute who tried to self-abort. And I mean, they didn't, picked him up, put him in the hospital, like, and waited for him to die. They just, they called him Little Tom Thumb because he literally was as big as a thumb. Um, and a woman came around that was looking to adopt, couldn't have kids, and went to the children's hospital, and she saw him, this little barely hanging on to life baby, and they go, well, don't, that one's not for adoption because that one we don't think is going to live. And she goes, no, that's the one I want. And she adopted that little tiny baby you could hold with your fingers. And he went on, she raised him, and he went on to be just brilliant. He's a school teacher, married one of my other karate students. They've got like 3 kids, went on to the rank of master, couldn't do a lot of stuff physically, couldn't kick real high, stuff with the lower legs because his body had been, he had become crippled because of the way he was brought into this world in some ways, very inhibited, but he never stopped. And, he got his black belt. I think I cried more when he got a black belt than when I got one. I was so touched that he had, beat so many odds. So stories like that are in my head a lot.
Yeah.
And I think maybe someday we could do some good things with it. You let me know.
Yeah, what I would do right now, when you get these ideas, I just make a beat sheet, and it's just a Word document with, this happened and that happened and that happened. And you could be 4 or 5 lines, and then, a month later you get another 4 or 5 lines, and then you've
Right.
got a whole story, and then you could pass it on, and you could
Exactly.
to a writer
And
or
that's how you
whatever.
write a book.
Is that
It's
how
not a whole
you
lot
beat sheet it
different.
as well? You do the same process?
Yeah.
Maybe I
Same
should write
thing.
a book. You should write a movie, and I should write a book. There it is.
Derrick, it's the same. We all start by sitting there looking at something that's blank white.
Yep.
And we have to figure out how to fill it and do a good job.
It's
It's the same
intimidating.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Where can people reach you?
I'm all over the place. I'm all over social media, everywhere. You can reach me that way. If you don't want to go social media, you can email me at renedenherdman@gmail.com. But I'm very accessible, as you probably know. I'm always keeping my ear open for opportunities to make a difference in this world. So, if you'd like to have me come out, whatever, to talk, that's what I do. Just I am kind of booked, probably through the rest of this year and early part of next year. But after that, I have available slots if anybody wants to have me come in and speak. And I say it with all humility. I'm not, who am I? I should be dead. but if I can be a difference and help people with what I say, then hey, let's do it. Let's do what we need to do.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for your time today. I learned a lot, and I feel like I grew a lot through this conversation. I'd love to stay in touch. I'd love to have you watch the movie and have your thoughts on it. I'll send you a link. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be on set making a movie, making the Karen Eden Herdman story.
I'm going to hold on to that. You just blessed me when you said that with your words, and I thank you for speaking that on me.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
God bless you, and we'll just keep on moving on, and I'll see you out there somewhere.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of FURYCAST. I want to give a big shout out to Karen Eden Herdman for coming on the show and sharing her story. If you want to reach out to her for any reason, have her come out and speak, have her come out and do some Tang Soo Do. Her links are in the description. And make sure you show your boy Derrick Fury some love by joining the mailing list for my new graphic novel, The Gentleman's Guild, art by E. Canales. That's right, E. Canales. The link is in the description. And don't forget to watch my feature film, Lion Killer. That's right, I made a movie. It stars Regina Ting Chen, who's currently on season 4 of Stranger Things. You can watch it on Amazon Prime, Tubi TV, Freevee. There's even a full Spanish dub. And as always, like this video. Help me boost the algorithm by commenting down below. You can also share this video on your social media platforms. You can subscribe and yes, even smash that bell so you can be notified every time I drop a new FURYCAST video. This is Derrick Fury. Until next time, peace.